Hello, my name is Rasmus Jorgensen and I'm senior researcher here at AgroIntelli. I've just been giving this talk in Danish for Nordic beet research, where I'm trying to tell what Robotti CropEye Image acquisition and analysis can be used for, especially if I look at what we have today and in the spring this year 2022. And I will also focus on what we cannot do. So what you get, and this is if you are a selected partner in the spring 22, and in the autumn it will probably be broadened out. But what you get if you want an image acquisition kit from AgroIntelli is that you can put on between 2 and 4 cameras, 5 megapixel cameras, which will sit behind the bumper, and there will be illumination on it, and then it can collect images, and I will show some of them on the fly. And the idea is, at least in the spring, for these selected partners, is that we open up for that you can go what we call do a virtual field tour. That's an idea we developed in the RoboWeed Maps project. You can Google RoboWeed Maps, then you can get more info. So it's kind of trying to extend the awareness of the farmer. So when he has been driving, if you have a Robotti, when it has fulfilled a task, there will be this driven plan. Yeah, let's try to keep to the agenda. So in 22 we will have a beta version where we can go 5 km per hour in daylight, and then it will record whatever percentage you set, for example 1% of the area you want image, or 10 or 115, that full coverage, and then it will be stored to a USB stick and then you upload it. That's what we will deliver this spring. You can then do a virtual field tour, we'll see soon, and then in the autumn we will expand and mature the product to, so we can give it to people who has the Robotti already. And of course, hopefully we will deliver more than I tell about here, but that's what we are kind of sure of we can deliver. So this virtual field tour, the idea is when you have the driven plan, the Robotti has been driving here, then there will be some markers saying that CropEye images looking down is recorded where the black dot is, and front eye is where the red circle is. So now I put hover my mouse above this, and it will show a small image, and if I press it will show a full image of this. This is the idea of what we will deliver, and we have, I think it's before beta version, already running on our developer server. And what we then hope to get up running very soon is that we can then enrich the image, telling you where is the crop. The blue one is where the dicot, and the red one where is the monocot. So if I then open the bounding boxes, you can get an idea of the performance of the model now. That is found the sugar beet, and it found some dicots and some monocots. You'll see more images, of course, later. But this gives you an idea of what you get in the spring, at least the selected partners. And here is a demo where I last summer was collecting images in our trial, and I'm sitting waiting for it to finish here in the car, surveying the Robotti. Here I am, a little more longer
collecting images
than now.
from all the parcels for last time.
And it's driving 5 km per hour here, collecting images with 2 cameras. For every 2 meters it's taking an image.
I can follow it here.
And I can see that it has been driving for 3.5 hours, and it's estimated there's 41 minutes left. And I can see that only 3 lines left,
and it has been working.
I think
for
41
3.5
minutes
hours now.
it would only take 10 minutes or 5 minutes to do that.
Estimate it's finished
So,
very soon.
but the estimator is also
I think
improving.
it's finishing earlier.
You can see
than
here that
expected.
the offset,
That's nice.
estimated offset.
If you look at how many is left here, it's only
So
3,
here I zoom in,
and that will not
where the
take
Robotti is
40
just
minutes.
lacking 3
So it's nice. It's faster than expected.
lines of collecting images, and then it's done. Here it's collecting images in a regular pattern, but we are focusing on that we set a percentage and then it will randomize, so
Go
it
to
never
a maze
takes the
field
image the
to
exact
collect
same place.
Training images.
In order, if you have exact same length
when
of a
that's
parcel,
done, I'll
then
just put it
you
in
won't
the
get
upload
it in a
terminal we
randomized
have,
pattern.
and we will upload
The randomization,
how
as we
many
see it,
have
is
here?
quite
10,000
important.
images.
At least if you want to run statistics on it later.
25,000 images. So
In
we
this
can
video,
start
I'm
to
also
work with it,
telling that
creating
I'm
maps.
continuing. If you Google CropEye on YouTube, to a maze where we are collecting images, and when I'm done, I will have at least 25,000 5 megapixel images I can work on. So, this is what our selected partners will get in the spring, and what you can expect if you have a Robotti or considering buying one in the autumn, that you can have at least as a bare minimum in the autumn 23 or 22. So, who am I? Now you heard the most important, so if you fell asleep, that's the most important is hopefully heard. So as I said, I'm senior researcher at AgroIntelli, been here for a year, but I have a long history together with Ole Gren, who founded the company AgroIntelli. So we have been running in parallel or together for 20 years approximately now, close to. So I've been here for 1 year, and before that I was at Aarhus University Department of Engineering. There's still some very skilled people there working on what we built up in that period. Before that I was at the University of Southern Denmark, where we built some of the first robots, and Ole Gren, who was at Kongskilde at that time, also had one of the first robots built. We called it Armadillo. We also work with the project called Robotti support, which was the very first, one of the first projects founding the capability as we have here at AgroIntelli now. Before that I was at the Danish Institute of Agricultural Sciences, and that's kind of agroecology now. A lot of it, at least, where I have interest in plant breeding, but that was in Horsens. And Sven Christensen, who was at Copenhagen University, he was there, and we worked with the first robots, and we were dreaming about collecting images. We were also there, Ole Gren and I met. We were building up the capability to do huge full-scale field trials with a lot of replicates, because a lot happens in a statistical sense if you, me as agronomist, go from 4 replicates to, for example, 20. That is very, very important, that the more replicates we can generate, especially here Robotti can help, the better results we often get. Yeah, and of course I've been at Research Center Risø, I've been at Copenhagen University before that, and Combine Demonstrator. So now you have an idea that I also have a kind of practical background. So the experience here was also here at AgroIntelli, and when we communicate with our customers, is they don't get it. Why do I and the vision team claim that vision is so very important? So I became, and the team, quite frustrated that we felt like up here, this was sometimes our feeling, why don't you get it? why don't you get the plant level nursing is really important. That is what we want to do. And here I see and found Ole Gren and many others see Robotti as an enabler for doing that. Our competitors can do it too if they want, but there's a lot of infrastructure to build up and know-how. And the tool we are using in this context to fulfill that one, to fulfill this one, is the image acquisition and the computer vision. So why? As I said, Phyto Farming, Simon Blackmore, I collaborated with in the past, Professor Simon Blackmore. He talked a lot about Phyto Farming, single plant farming, and what I realized is that most systems today are purely reactive. They sense the reason they act. They don't see the whole picture. And in many cases, the whole picture, the optimal treatment of me is not the optimal one if you see it as a whole where you want the sustainability. Perhaps there is a weed plant you want to leave, even though I as a crop hate to have it as a neighbor. But there's a lot of predators there which can help me to stabilize the ecosystem. So that is very important, but in order to do that we need to have an overview, we need intelligence. So how we do that is here in this context. Of course, I claim that Robotti is the enabler for doing this. Robotti, when it's working in the fields or only collecting images, then we collect images and intelligence. And if you look at these points here, it's kind of scraped from the American intelligence service with spies and all that. But I just rewritten it to, if you look at Robotti as a spy or man in the field, gathering data, processing it and changing it into agricultural intelligence we can act upon, so we can act more optimal, in a more optimal manner. So this guy here is super to put on a camera. So when it's working 24/7, we are getting intelligence so we can adapt. So that is the what. The what is what we will deliver. The first step at least is the services here in the spring. At least that's what we are really trying to get up running. So the very first thing here will be that we deliver a service where you collect the images, as you saw, to a USB stick, and then the data recording device here will upload it to the cloud, and now you can do the virtual field tour. You can also get manual services where I'm involved or some other of my colleagues here at AgroIntelli, but it will not be automated yet. If you look at how mature it is, the model you saw placing all the bounding boxes, at least we guarantee up to 7 or 8 leaves. That growth state that we can do quite a lot. If it's 5, we think we are really good at it, we are ready to go. If it's 4, we just need some minor adjustment and so on. And notice this is for Denmark. As we move away from Denmark, we cannot guarantee anything. We can adapt, but then the matureness will decline and we need to adapt the model. We have the whole infrastructure, but yes. The single crop images, let's see, where are we? If it's detecting crops, we can take faba beans. We're really good at sugar beets, we are getting there. Maize, we're also getting quite good. We need minor adjustments. Spinach, also, here there is a minor error, but it's potato. I think we will handle that quite well too, but I cannot, as I'm sitting here, guarantee. And peas. So we can do a lot. If you want further classification of this, we have external partners like IGIS from the RoboWeed Maps project, which can kind of split the die cuts into other groups in a hierarchical manner. So we have external partners who can digest it further. But we need at least some light, and it needs to be in daytime. We are working at nighttime, but I cannot guarantee it for the spring at least. The CropWeed model, what can it do? You can get, with manual support from AgroIntelli, that will often be me, you can who will then use the engineers in the vision team to evoke the model, and then it will analyze the images to do density counts, how many of the different classes is there in the images down here. For weeds it's monocot, dicot and thistles. And then you can also get an indirect measure of the coverage, how much does it cover the different classes, and that's by using the size of the bounding boxes. Of course we can do quality assessment and model retraining, but that's you have to pay. We have to have a project together, or we will bill you hourly for doing it. Of course we are working on automating it, so it's just a service you will get without involving me or my colleagues. Here's some example of what the model can do today. Here it's faba beans, and remember the blue one here is dicots, and if there's some red ones it's monocots. This here is from a camera, the predecessor to this camera. Aarhus University have that called HV camera, high velocity camera. Images like these are collected with up till 70 k's per hour. They have a ring flash, we don't, and that means that you can get images of this quality. Here that is our camera, here's peas, and you can see there is a small thistle here. And if you go down here it's cereals and a lot of thistles. This one is maize, and you can see there's no light on it, and it's grainy. That was another project where they forgot to turn off the data recording. They turned off the light, but I just collected it and analyzed it, and we can do it even though the quality is like this. The model eats it. And remember this image, because I will show some bounding box later what we can also do utilizing our external partners. Of course spinach, that one we also handle quite well now. So if you remember the maize images, here I asked via our external partners to take all the bounding boxes from dicots and then sort them based on size. So I get the biggest one first. And by doing that, it's quite easy and fast, even though it's only a dicot level, to get an overview of the different weeds. And IPM wise is also via the Roboweed Maps project. If we export to them, then they can, for every field it takes 20 minutes, they can look at these, and then they can give you an optimized spray recommendation. And we showed, when I was at Aarhus University in that project, where AgroIntelli was a partner too, that analyzing 84 fields, that's 1200 hectares, across several years, we could save a significant amount of herbicides just by doing that. We are not even starting to turn it on and off and do patch spraying. It's just to put the right thing in the sprayer. This is what we enable with the Robotti too. And I think that's kind of cool, based on the many years I've been doing this research, that now we are getting there, so we can offer to farmers and Nordic beet researchers, so they can focus on the next step, the next level. Yeah, this one, if you wonder, that's me sleeping. That was when we established some of the trials I will talk about. I was not sleeping for 35 hours, so I was kind of being back in the army. And I was also learning how to operate the Robotti, and I was very ambitious. I wanted to do it everything myself. So, but here was the result. Here are some of the results from the trial where I was sleeping at the end. This one is in Danish, but that's based on these images where we were spraying with the Spitfire sprayer from Danfoil, we were analyzing it. Danish Institute, DTI, the Danish Technical Institute, I think it's called, were analyzing the images I collected and filtered. And it's done by Ricardo here and Philip Trinell, who is quite good at statistics. And they got all the images like this, and here you can see the crop is definitely bigger than the 8 leaves, but they were looking at it manually because our model was not ready to eat that at that time. Of course, we are working on it, and we are working on getting up running, so there's also some with white balance here. But they used this to analyze the results of different spray strategies. And he manually went through these many images I filtered and sorted on 17 different treatments, and they concluded that the IPM treatments, and that's also a funny story, this IPM treatment, the consultant from Seges, we couldn't get him, he didn't have time to go into the field and look at the weeds for real, but when we moved the images and sorted these bounding boxes for the different treatments, then he looked at it and he had time to do it. So he made the classical, before he looked at it, what should I spray with, then he looked at it and made IPM. And here we got significant results, and that is quite cool that we could in fact do that. So that was the cameras doing that. Here's an example based on the images we collected, just to say what we can do today. If we, and I'll just take the report and jump into it. So here's a report I made showing what we can do when we find the thistles. We make the plan, as you saw, for the Robotti. It's collecting images where it's white for every second meter. Then blah blah blah. I export it to RoboWeed maps. We can also do it ourselves, but here I exported to the RoboWeed maps project IGIS. They analyzed it, made an interpolation in 5 meter grid. I imported it to QGIS, and then I set a threshold. So here, whenever there's just a small fraction of thistles, I will say this we need to spray. I import these polygons into the planner. Here I'm creating a plan in the Robotti planner, and you can see these areas here, that's where we want the Robotti to turn on. All 3 meters, not spot spraying or something, just 3 meters. And by doing that, we get this route plan. This is where the Robotti should drive. It should not visit all parcels, and it's only turn on the sprayer here. I think this is cool, and that's something we can do today. So here you see it. This is not what we are doing. It's just to show. The idea is that now it's driving over the parcels, and it will turn the full width of the sprayer on and off, spraying only these areas. I think this is cool. This is something we can do now, and we will always we will save a lot of herbicides just by doing that. Not even with spot spraying. Imagine it could be anything else. It could be a tine weeder where we did this. What we also learned when you do plot trials, or if you're a farmer, we collected images very early when the crop has just emerged, before we wanted to spray and do anything. And then we got this picture of dicot densities, dicot weed density, and we were kind of, what? These systematic patterns would screw up the whole trial if we didn't do anything. So we had to replan the whole trial. Yeah, we see that we couldn't do something there, but the spray trial and everything we had to adapt, so we increased the likelihood of getting proper significant results and not faulty results. And if we zoom in here in this area and then play a little with QGIS, then you can see that this map is from the previous year, that there's a clear pattern where there has been driving a lot and the weed density. So this is an example of how important it is to get intelligence, and this is what we enable with the Robotti. So that was some use cases, but it's also important to stress what you don't get, at least not this year. Perhaps you overperform and you will get some of it, but initially you won't get an automated or you do it yourself level thingy in form of downloading images. For these points you need to contact AgroIntelli or me or some of my colleagues, and then they can download the images for you. And if you want to do a bulk analysis, creating these bulk weed maps, which I've shown, then you will also need us. Insects and leaf diseases, great images, we cannot guarantee that. You need a flash, or you need to contact Aarhus University, who has the system here. I'll show that soon. Quality assessment, you have to talk with us or external partners, and the same here. So the real-time analysis, not now, later. And that's because it's so important that when we promise this is what you get and this is what you don't get in 22. If you get more, be happy, and we will be happy on your behalf. So here you can see there is a camera, the predecessor of the system we have. We developed at Aarhus University when I was there. Now it's at René Gislum at Flakkebjerg, Aarhus University, and they have this camera system. In fact, when they collect images, we can also swallow that with our upload terminal. But they can also analyze it themselves without uploading to us. Here we put it on a tractor and we are collecting from spinach. And that gives you an idea of the quality this camera delivers. We cannot deliver so good a quality, but we can deliver significant or sufficient quality for a lot. This is insects collected with the camera you saw from Aarhus University, where I've been doing 50 k's per hour. I have, or my colleague Morten Laursen, and you can see there's insects. We just mark them manually. We don't have an algorithm to find them at the moment, but it gives an idea of the image quality. Of course, Nordic Beet Research, he sent me just a picture, so example of the quality he can generate. And if we look here, there we can see a ladybug. There's an image from the HV camera. Here you can see what's that called? The strange name, Daddy Longlegs, I think it's called, this insect. And this is from our system, CropEye system. So this is the quality you can expect from our system. So here you can see the butterfly larva, I think it is. I'm not an expert in this, so don't hang me if I'm wrong, but there's some larva at least. And you can also see there is some diseases or some thing on the leaves here which would probably make sense for an expert in that area. So I'm not saying that the image quality is not sufficient, but I cannot guarantee it's sufficient. And here we catch a butterfly in the air. So yes, we will see insects, but I cannot guarantee the very small ones. Yes, I think that's it. Almost half an hour done. So this is what you can get. This spring, select the partners, autumn, more partners. But you have to contact sales and all that stuff if you want that. That's not me. I'm just a researcher trying to push it out together with the vision team. And then of course the virtual filter. Yes. Contact me if you find it useful.